validations, right? We have gone through this flow. So you see, in Spring, we got very good support for validations. That is what you saw. So we can write the custom validation code. So we have actually written the custom validation code, I can say. Yes. So custom validation means user defined validation code, which was specific to our requirements. You know, but generally when we talk about validations in web applications, you got some common validations. Can you people name some common validations? Can you people just list down some common validations which you'll see in web applications? While accessing web applications in the online, you might have come across few common validations, right? What are they? Yes. So mandatory fields, validating email address. So yes, phone, dates, validating a date. So these are the common validations which you'll come across, right? So you know what? Even here in the web applications in Spring MVC, you'll find that we got some support for handling common validations, I can say. So to deal with the common validations, we got the support, I can say. You know what? Actually, Spring Framework doesn't provide any predefined code here to deal with this common validations, but you will find that you got another framework which provides us validation support. What is it? To your surprise, you will find that the Hibernate itself, from Hibernate, you got that support. Okay, you will find that in Hibernate, actually we got Hibernate validators. It's a separate project, which is not related to persistence. You got something called as Hibernate validators, so which provides the support for handling common validations. Okay, Hibernate validators. So it provides or it helps us to handle the common validations, I can say. Just a minute. Hibernate validators. So here, if you want to use this Hibernate validators, first of all, you see, we need to add that Hibernate validators libraries, not Hibernate libraries. Hibernate validators different, as I told you people. Hibernate validator is different. That libraries we need to add them. Now you see using Maven here in this project. So now you know that it's pretty simple and straightforward to add that libraries. So through Maven. So now let me add the dependencies. Okay. Here I got the dependencies in another project. I'll add them. You see, this is some dependency. So Hibernate validators. Please make a note of it. This is not related to persistence. Okay. So this dependency is not at all related to persistence. Okay. So this one we are going to use it for validations. Yes, Manasa, you've just joined, right? So I'm talking about validation support, predefined validations. Generally, you'll find that when we talk about web applications, you got most common validations, right? So for such common validations, like say validating email address, phone number, dates, empty fields. So Hibernate framework, there is a support in Hibernate framework. Actually, it is called as Hibernate validators. It's not Hibernate framework. You got a separate project for that, which is initiated by Hibernate people itself. It is called as Hibernate validators, which we use to handle predefined, common validations, I can say. To handle common validations, we use this validator. Yes, Hibernate validator. Okay, it's a framework. Now this is a dependency. So let's see how to work with it, all of you. You know what? You'll be surprised. You'll find that it is pretty simple and straightforward. It is very simple and straightforward. Okay. So first, suppose here you see this is the register class, right? So the register class fields, they hold that form data. So each field here, it holds the form data, right? For suppose here, I want to apply one of the validation rule, I can say. I'd like to apply one of the validation rule. So what is it? So I want to make sure that username field is not empty. That means I want to make it mandatory field. username should not be empty. Okay, username is not supposed to be empty. You see, you can do this. At the rate, not empty. That's it. So this is what you need to do. So now what happens? You see, on top of that field, we have added this annotation at the rate not empty. So this annotation, is it is it from Spring Framework? Is this annotation from Spring Framework? I want you people to understand that. That annotation, is it from Spring Framework? No. Yes, it is not from Spring Framework, it is from Hibernate Validators Framework. Okay, it is actually from Hibernate Validators Framework. So we have added that Hibernate libraries, right? Now Hibernate Validators, not Hibernate library, Hibernate, not Hibernate, Hibernate Validators. Okay, so that Hibernate Validators, you see, that will make sure that this username, sorry, yeah, username is not empty. Okay, it will make sure that that username field is not empty. Yes, let's see. So we'll test this code. Okay, now you see, for suppose I won't provide any username here. I'll not type in username. I'll click on register. I'm sorry. Just a minute. So let me just remove this application and reload it once. Okay, do one thing. In the controller, I will not add will not register this validator. Okay, let me not register. I'll just remove it. Let's see. I'll deploy this application. You see, if I submit the page this time, it displays this message. It says it cannot be empty here, right? May not be empty. That username field cannot be empty. Okay, generally, if we use it with that custom validator, it may not work. So I'll find out the fix for this. I have to check once. Okay, yeah. So you see, if I'm not using that custom validator, it is working. Okay, if I'm not using the custom validator, it works. Yeah. Okay, fine. So now similarly, you can apply other common validations. For example, I want to check for email address. That means, let's say you got this username, right? So I want this username to be a valid email address. Usernames which uses as applying, let's say it should be a valid username. Sorry, valid email address here. Username is supposed to be valid email address. So let's see what to do. Just add this annotation at the rate email. You know the framework here, Hibernate validators. It will make sure that that username field is a valid email address. So when I say it's a valid email address, what does that means? In a valid email address, what you'll have, what is included, or what will be there in a valid email address. Yeah, so you'll have a username followed by at the rate and followed by the domain name at the rate some email server followed by .com.co.in or something like that, right? Yeah, fine. So you see, let's see whether it will validate this email address or not. Sorry. I'll, let's say I'll type in some username, but this is not a valid username. That means it's not a valid email address. So I'll click on register. It says not a well-formed email address. So this way you see, you will find that the framework provides the validation support here. Okay, and generally, what is the other validation which you'll see? You will find that you have min length, max length. So generally, when this min length or max length will be used, yes, when min length or max length will be used, yes. So while registering, you see, users will supply the password, right? So we want to make sure that the password is not less than 4 characters, less than 5 characters, or something like that, right? You see, in that case, we'll check for this validation rule. We'll apply this validation rule. For suppose, let's say the first name should not be empty. This is the first validation rule we apply. And let's say now length maximum, let's say, should be 10. Minimum should be 4, let's say. That means it should be in the range of 4 to 10. It should not be less than 10, sorry, less than 4, and it should not be greater than 10. It should not be greater than 10 here. That's it. Okay. Yes. So hope you people got it. Fine. So let's see. Now let's say I'll just provide 2 characters here in the first name field. I'm giving a valid email address, let's say. Here I'll submit the form. It says length must be between 4 and 10. Length must be between 4 and 10 here. That's it. Okay. So hope you people got it. So from where you're getting this validation support here, predefined validation support? From the validators framework. You see, they go very well with Spring MVC. It's easy to use this validations here. Okay, validation rules in Spring MVC. Which validations? Hibernate validations. Hibernate validator rules. Yeah, fine. So we got a few more validations, but I want you people to check it on your own. Okay, I will leave it to you people. Yes, try to check for those validations. Okay, now we understood how to work with it. It's very simple. Just add that dependencies, and what else we did? We'll just try to use this annotations, like what validation rules you want to apply. You'll use that appropriate annotations here. Okay, yes, that is what you'll do. Fine. Now, I would like to show you people one more thing here when it comes to the MVC. It's not related to validations though. Yes, it's actually related to MVC. Now, have you noticed it when this form is displayed? So let me just display the form once. You got the city and state fields, right? What we're going to do is here, I don't want to hard code that data in that text in that drop down fields. You see, both are drop down lists, right? Yes, they both are drop down lists. I don't want to hard code the data. Okay, that means in the web page I don't want to add the data, so I want it to be fetched from the backend, from the data from the backend, and the data should be populated here. Yes, data should be populated here. Yes. Now, if the data has to be fetched from the backend, how are you going to do that? You see, whenever this page is loaded, we have to make sure that the data is fetched and it is supplied to this web page. Okay, so that it will be used here in the web page to populate that drop down list here. Okay, yes. So you'll find that in the Spring MVC, we got support here for such populations, form pre-population, I can say, pre-population of form data, I can say. Generally, it is called as, or it is known as pre-populating the form data. That means when the page is loaded, at that time, populating that form data. Okay, yes. So, you see, for that I'm going to use the controller itself. Let's see how to use the controller. Now, in this controller, I'm going to define a method. You see, for example, I would like to populate that. I would like to pump or supply that cities list to that web page. I would like to supply that cities list to that web page. So for that, here I'll define a method in the controller. I'll define a method in the controller. You see, this way. Say get cities. Method name can be anything you wish. Now the purpose of this method is to return the list of cities, okay, which can be used in the web page to populate the drop down list. So now actually I'm not going to fetch this list of cities from the database. Okay, so what I will do is we will create that list here itself. Just assume that we got this list from the backend, from the database. Okay, yes. Okay, and this method will return that list. So now you know what, here for this method I'm going to use a special annotation at the rate model attribute. I'm going to use a special annotation called as at the rate model attribute. I'll configure a value. Yes. So what is this model attribute annotation? This model attribute annotation, it indicates that this method, it returns some data which can be used to populate the form, to populate the web page. In order to populate that web page, you see, this method is returning some data. Yes, hope you people got it. So you know, I will annotate this. Sorry, I will add that log information here. Get cities. Now the framework will take this list which is written by that method, you know, and it will supply to that JSP page. It will, when it invokes the JSP page, this is in our case register page, to that register JSP page, it will pass it. It will pass that content. Okay. Yes. So now the question is, in the JSP page, how can we access that list? In the JSP page, how can we access that list? That's the question. You know, that list is supplied to the JSP by adding it to request scope. It will be added to the request scope and it is supplied. You see, when it is added to the request scope, this name will be given cities. You see, I'm using that annotation at the rate model attribute, right? You see, uh, I've configured a value cities, which is nothing but it's the name which will be used for for that particular object. This is the name which will be used for that particular object, I can say. Okay, yeah. So that list will be referred using that name cities. So here, you know, we got a string tag called a selector. You see, I'm using the string tag, the suffix s. We got a string tag, so which you're using here. You see, um, to that string tag, you have to supply that name, list name. What is the name? Cities. When that list is added here to this to the request scope, this name will be used, cities, and that request object is passed on to this JSP. So JSP will have access to that request scope, right? And the objects in that request scope. Yeah, fine. Now let's see. You know what happens? You're supplying this list to the select tag, right? You know, this select tag is a very advanced tag. So basically, what it does is it will read the list of elements from that list. It will read the elements from the list, and it will populate them into the drop down list. So it is going to populate them into the drop down list here. Yes, it will populate it into the drop down list. That is what the select tag does now. That is what the select tag is going to do. Yes. Okay, fine. So let me run this code once so that you'll understand. This way, using that model attribute methods, through the model attribute methods, we can pump the data to the JSP page, I can say. We can supply the data to the JSP page. Yes, that's it. Okay, so you see, we got that list of cities. So these are the cities which we have added, right? That's it. So now what if I want to also supply the list of state details here to this JSP page so that we can use them to populate that states drop-down list. What to do? What do you think? Yes. So I want to populate that states drop-down list also. Okay. Come on. You see, what you need to do is simply supply that, simply define another method which returns the list of states and annotate it with model attribute. So whatever the methods are annotated with model attribute, you see whatever the data that methods return, the model attribute methods, whatever the data they return, the data in turn it is passed onto that web page. Web page will use that data to load that fields. In the web page, the data will be used to load the form fields, I can say, or web page fields. Yeah. So let me define another method. See states. Okay. Let's say states list. So this method is also annotated with @model attribute. So what are all the methods which are annotated with @model attribute? So the framework will make sure that it will call these methods before the JSP page is invoked. So we got that JSP page, right? So before the JSP page is invoked, you'll find that this method, these methods will be invoked. Whatever the methods you have here, all the methods which are annotated with @model attribute. Okay. So whatever the methods you have which are annotated with @model attribute, they will be invoked. So they will return some data, right? It is added to the request scope and it is passed onto the JSP page. JSP will use it to populate the data into that text, into that fields. You see, now we are reading that list here with the name states in the JSP page. We are using that special tag, select tag. You see, this is from Spring framework itself. It's one of the Spring tags. Specialty of this tag is that it will read the list of elements and it will populate, or it will add those elements to that drop down list. It will add them to the drop down list here. That is what happens. Okay. So let's see. Oh, okay. Now you see you have both the cities and states drop down list populated with some data. Now down, if you can see the console, carefully observe the console. Just a minute. You see that first of all that get cities is called, then get states, then at last that show view method is called, so which is annotated with http method get. That's it. No, what JSP will do with the command object, initially command object is of no use for the JSP, right? So framework will read the data from that form, and the framework is going to populate that form data into this command object fields. So hope you people got it. So any other questions? Okay, fine. So this is about model attribute annotation, which we can use to populate the form data, pre-populate the form data, I can say. Pre-population means when the form is loaded initially, populating that form with some data. Not only form, a page, I can say. Pre-populating a web page with some data. Yes. Okay, good. So hope you people got it. So what we did so far. Next, we need to talk about the view components, custom view components, I can say. We need to talk about custom view components. Okay, yes. So, but we'll discuss about it in the next session. So, we got a long session this weekend, so please make a note of this schedule. Please make sure that you attend these classes. So, first of all, tomorrow we have a class at 8:30 p.m. Indian time, as we met today. It will be for at least couple of hours tomorrow, not 1 hour. Next class will be on. It is on it is Saturday for me, right? Saturday. Next class will be just a minute. On Sunday, so it will be merged with another batch. It will be at 8 a.m. Sorry, Sunday means it will be 7:30 p.m. Indian time. Okay, so In this class, I'm going to talk about XML. Did I teach XML to you people? No, right? XML. XML processing APIs. So very important for web services. Followed by this XML, we'll have web services classes, but you have to attend them in the evening. Okay. So coming week, we'll have evening classes where I'll be talking about the web services. Okay. Yeah. So I'll give you that schedule also. But as of now, just attend these classes on Saturday and Sunday. So this will be a lengthy class, 3 hours class also for XML. Okay. Yeah. That's all. Um, so we got a class tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Indian time again. Thank you all. Bye bye.